What's happening, guys? Happy Wednesday. Or if you're joining us live on YouTube, happy Tuesday evening and welcome to the Dynasty Warzone, the People's Dynasty Podcast. And today's topic is going to be some crazy quarterback conundrums. I am not here alone. I've actually got many guests in studio. But first and foremost, he's my co-host. You know him as the man of the hour and the man with the power. He is Jerry Sinclair. Jerry, what is going on?
This might be my favorite show that we have ever done, because never have we ever recorded a show where I could stream an NFL game live while we do it. I have the Bills on, and I am sweating this game in a way that is unimaginable. And if I scream at any point randomly, know that it's because Cole Beasley just caught a pass and I'm going to lose that league. I'm good, though. How are you, my friend? It's been a week, and a week is too long.
I've been busy. Coming off of another big week over at the Fabulous Big Bet. I'm 4-1 on the season over there. We've got your Debbie show. You guys are going to be recording not this coming Sunday, but the Sunday after. We're going to be recapping what the boys of the Big Ten are doing, along with the SEC. And keeping people prepared, man. I've noticed another podcast in the space out there is borrowing our format. Hey, they've often said imitation is the greatest form of flattery. So there's another podcast out there. We will not name names, but good for them. It's a great show. I listened to their maiden voyage just the other day, and they too are preparing dynasty owners for the upcoming season. Like I said, it was a great show. Really enjoy it. Love the host to death. And but I'm looking forward to what you guys, Kane Fassell, Shane Hallam, and hopefully we can get the ever vacationing Josh to join us. What do you think the odds are?
Well, at this rate, 0. No, I'm going to give my man credit. At some point, we got to see him. And at some point, I need to be the dumbest person on that podcast at a whole new level.
If we had a sock of lint on that podcast, you might have it. You might have it
this
licked.
This is the bully. See, this is why I can't sit here. This is why I do have to take the week. I'm just busting your balls.
This is why you show up, because no one else in your life busts your chops the way that I bust your chops, and that's what I'm here to do.
You're like the mean uncle at the cookout that just can't let me work the barbecue. I'm
just jealous.
This how you do. It's on here. You don't get the light fluid. Get the gasoline on there.
If you have an uncle that is telling you to put gasoline on the barbecue,
it's from Eddie Murphy.
You call me. I will come and help you. So we got the Debbie show coming up. We have the Big Bet. It'll be live on YouTube on Wednesday night for podcast on Thursday. And like I said, man, I would have to total up Dr. Kyle's record on the season. I've got a winning record on the season on my Big Bets, aka other shows call them a best bet. I'm 4-1 on the season. And we're going to be jumping on a YouTube Live. We'll have no Thursday game to break down this week, so we'll have a little bit more time to put into the Sunday slate. And then the YouTube. We're going to talk to the main man behind our YouTube here in just a minute, Jerry. But, dude, streams every day, and I tell you what, from an aesthetic standpoint, even if you don't subscribe, we'd really love it if you would. But even if you don't subscribe, head over to the Dynasty Warzone on YouTube and just look at the great stunning visuals of our page, Jerry. It's a thing of beauty. It can even make our mugs look good.
And that is a tough sell, my friend. Listen, there's two guys that are going to be on the show that do beautiful work, and I'm rocking it right now.
I am looking forward to getting these guys on the podcast. Just want to wrap up a couple of things. But the YouTube channel, so much going on. We obviously another huge injury this week. You had Dak and his ankle, and if you're not subscribed to the Dynasty Warzone YouTube channel with notifications turned on, you probably continue to miss Dr. Kyle. That's Dr. Kyle Bowser. He is a doctor of physical therapy. You're missing his takes on all these huge injuries, and you're missing out. You miss out on both podcasts and all the other stuff that we do, the injury follow-up, sometime on Friday, sometime Saturday. I've got a whiteboard. I've got to get to the whiteboard, and pretty soon, hashtag spoiler alert, you'll be able to see us do thumbnail rankings videos. What's that going to entail? I would just go to the Dynasty Warzone on YouTube, Jerry, and I would subscribe, because you're going to do some rookie rankings, and one of our guests tonight is going to turn them into a YouTube video.
And that is going to be the only way they look good, because other than that, just shit in the bed over and over. No. Listen, right. I'm excited. I love doing rookie rankings, because when I am wrong, the venom that comes my way, and it's what feeds me. It just feels good. I'm looking at you, Rashad Penny, you son of a bitch.
Well, we have a lot to cover. Just want to cover one last couple of things, and then I want to get into our guests. So, last couple of things. The freest, I've created that word on the Big Bet podcast. 5-star reviews. Whatever you're listening on, if it has a review feature, we would love like hell if you would go in there, pause unless you're driving or operating heavy farm machinery, and give us a 5-star review. And if you want a trade answered, you leave us the 5-star review. Jerry and I will review that trade for you. We did this last week for Frank. We would love to do that for you. And if you're not trolling around on social media, you can email us. Email the show. It's dynastywarzone@gmail.com. Or if you are on social media, you can find us at Dynasty Warzone on both Instagram and Twitter. But Jerry, enough fooling around. Let's bring on our guest. Let's start with Mr. Matty Big Chest, a.k.a. Matty Poole. He is the brains. He is the graphics guru behind everything that we do here at the Dynasty. I say we, like I've got a mouse in my pocket. It's all Matt. It's really all Matt, and he is one of the few people on this earth who can take my crazy ideas. I can give him, like literally, Jerry, like a golf ball sized lump of clay, and he can work this thing into the Venus de Milo. This kid is a genius. He's an artist. He's been on the show with me before. He's also been on the Dynasty Happy Hour Contractor with me. You can find him again on Twitter at Matty Big Chest. Matt, welcome back to the show, buddy.
It's good to be back. You can also find me on YouTube at the Dynasty Warzone.
This is true. I would say that his mug and Dr. Kyle's mug, probably 1 and 2 on the most seen faces on the Dynasty Warzone channel. I'm probably a third, and luckily for all of us, Jerry is a distant fourth. And I see you flipping me off. If you were on YouTube, you guys could have seen Jerry tell me I was number 1. What is that?
Demonetized.
Maybe he's going to tell me I'm number 11. But anyway, we also have another guest. Now, this guy is a big part of the thing going on with our merchandise. Now, Matty does a lot of the graphics work. This is the guy who's making sure that you're getting high quality goods. He's part of the team over at Viridian Global, and he's a bit of a Dynasty player himself. His name is Will Harris. Will, welcome to the Dynasty Warzone, sir.
Memphis, thanks so much for having me on. Jerry, great to be jamming with you, and it's awesome to finally see Matty face to face. It's crazy how the internet works. I mean, we've been working back and forth for the last couple of months now to get your merch out, and it's the first time that we've actually all jumped on a video call together. So, and it just so happens to be the podcast, which is super cool. So stoked to be here. Love the show and love working with the brand. It's been a lot of fun so far. I can see you guys are rocking it. How comfortable are those shirts, guys?
It not only is it comfortable, but it makes me look sexier than a motherfucker, my friend. You do great stuff.
It's all in the weave, man. It's all in the weave. We test out every single piece that comes through to make sure that it's the highest quality that we can afford. So love seeing it and want to see more of that out there. Matty, I gotta say, man, everything that Memphis was saying earlier, it's so true. You've got a mind for this. You got a talent for it. You're super talented on the design space, man. So it's been a pleasure working with y'all, and really excited to talk through the show and talk through some QBs with y'all.
You have no idea how much that means to me. As a future accountant, being told I have no creativity, it's very nice, to be told I do have a creative mind. So thank you, Will.
Yeah, no worries, man.
And I do want to take a second to let both of you guys talk about, but before we get into the merch and what's going on at Viridian Global and with Matty and his graphics work, Will, you're a bit of a podcaster in your own right. You do some stuff up there with your team. Tell us about what's going on from your content side. Forget about the merch for just a second. What's going on with Viridian? Tell us what's going on with you and your crew.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm part of True North Fantasy Football up here in Canada. Travis Seal and Tyler McLaughlin. It's a brand that they started about a year and a half ago, and we've really grown the team. It's kind of crazy, and maybe it's tough for other people to understand, but up until 7 months ago, I thought I was like the only serious fantasy football player in Canada. Like, I know it sounds crazy to you guys because, you guys have been connected for a long time, but a lot of Canadians, that's where I'm from. I'm from just outside Toronto. That's how they felt. And what Ty and Trav did was built a Canadian fantasy football group on Twitter where all of these kind of hardcore fantasy footballers, mostly dynasty, kind of came out of the woodwork. And it turns out there's a heck of a lot of content creators up here in Canada and a lot of Canadians that are living in the US, living overseas. And we've all connected there. We've maxed out our Twitter group. We've, added a second group. And that's really brought us all together and really started to pump out the content from True North FFB. I mean, we've got in the True North brand, we've got 4 different pods going now, which is awesome. We've got the Gold Jacket podcast. We've got the Point After podcast. We've got the Smoke Show podcast. Then we've got the True North podcast. And then my own show, which kicked off on a Sunday night as a live stream and then can be downloaded on Monday in podcast form, is the Jet Sweep show, which is me and Josh Smokey Nelson. And that's really just like a rapid fire, boom, 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 boom. This is what's happened in the weekend. This is what it means for fantasy purposes. And you can check that out every Sunday at halftime. And it's just a really rapid fire, just like a jet sweep play. Chase Claypool did one beautifully this weekend, which we're super happy about up here in Canada and as a Steelers fan. So that's a little bit about what True North has got going on. So that's on the podcast video stream side. Everything that we do, you can see as video. And then if you miss that, you can catch it. We understand that schedules are tight and tough. We've all got jobs, kids, and all that good stuff. So you can pick it up as a podcast and download it that way. And then on the content article side too, we've got your ad drop every Thursday with Josh Smokey Nelson. He does an article on True North FFB. Myself, every Tuesday, you've got Goodwill Hunting, which is our waiver wire pickup on the week. So lots of stuff that we're doing here for True North FFB, True North Fantasy Football. Follow us on Twitter. Check out our page. All the podcasts are there. All the videos are there. Go in there. Check it out. Appreciate the support. Just because we're Canadian, don't let that stop you, because we love the NFL up here. And we're super, super pumped for all of our, 90% of our followers are American, right? Because that's where everybody's at, right? South of the border. So give us a follow, True North FFB on Twitter, and then all of our content sits there as well. So doing lots of great stuff and been really impressed with the crew.
Absolutely. And you can follow this man. You can follow Will. It's at It's Harris Time on Twitter. That's at It's Harris Time. You can check him out, and there'll be links and other stuff going on. So yeah, I want to make sure that we covered that for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to roll into our first segment, and we're going to find out about our friends Maddie and Will and the gang at Viridian Global just a little bit more. And as you guys know, Viridian Global is the official apparel provider of the Dynasty Warzone. There are tees, there are hoodies. It's a little cold. I was freezing tonight watching Little League Baseball in October in Indiana. It was not fun. Luckily, I had on my DWZ t-shirt underneath my quarter zip because I haven't got a hoodie yet. And there's gym tank tops. There's raglans. For those that don't know, a raglan is maybe it's what I should have been wearing that to the baseball game, was the baseball style shirt. But over at Viridian Global, you can check out all the designs, and not only will you find our stuff, the Dynasty Warzone, you can find shows like the Dynasty Happy Hour, the GOAT District. I know there's a bunch of others. And Will, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there should still be free shipping on all orders over $75. Is that still correct?
That's not running right now, but maybe that's something that we can do.
Okay. I know we were doing that at one time. We were doing that at one time.
We were, yeah, but it got a little bit much. So it's a good problem to have when you're when people are taking those coupon codes. We love giving them out, but we also love being able to give as much money back to the brands that we work with as possible, right? Like that's what Viridian Global. That's what our goal of the Football Collective is to do with brands like the Dynasty Warzone. We want you guys to be able to get your merch out there so that fans can, look awesome in your gear. It's super comfortable. We try to make it as affordable as possible, but every single piece of Dynasty Warzone merch that is sold, part of that and most of it, I want to make as much of that going back to the brand as possible, because let's face it, guys, this software that we use isn't free, right? Websites are not free. Server space isn't free. We get that. We want to be able to support the brands that we work with. You mentioned a couple, Dynasty Happy Hour, Goat District is another one. We work with the Undroppables as well, the FF Astronauts, and of course True North Fantasy Football. We've got a few more that are ready to drop, but the Football Collective is really about giving back as much as possible so that, great brands like yourself can continue to pump out content, and really high quality content at that.
Look at that, Jerry. He called us a great brand.
He just means you.
Okay, well, yeah, I think he means Maddie. So please go over to Viridian Global. That's VERIDIAN Global.com. You can check out our stuff. You can check out all the other great stuff going on. And Will, you mentioned some of the other pods, but you don't just have pod-related stuff. You guys have, I don't ever do them justice except for the James Robinson tee. I love that tee because it says J-Rob, and on the back it says league winner. Again, this is a bit of a chance for you guys to get some exposure to our listeners before we get into the quarterbacks here in just a minute. Anything else you want to tell them about Viridian, the brand? Did we miss anything? 'Cause I want to give Maddie just a second before we get into some quarterbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one part of our business is on the Football Collective side, and we're super happy about the brands that we support there. But the other half of that is that we probably have about 50 to 60, football-related designs, fantasy football-related designs. And I mean, we're dropping relevant designs as stuff happens. I mean, we had one for Joshua Kelly's less than dismal start last night. Josh Kelly season. I know that Maddie's got a Fresh Prince of Hilaire shirt on order. So, we're pumping out super cool designs. Every Thursday, we actually drop a fresh design. So the other half of Viridian is Mark Mathick at Minshew Brofist. He's an amazing follow in itself, but he's also a super talented designer. And, we get these harebrained ideas rocking and rolling, and next thing you know, you got an OBJ Cleveland Steamer hoodie, like literally the day after that thing dumped on us all. So we are, Viridian's goal on that side of the business, we want to be relevant. Like, we want shirts that you'll rock and that people will say, hey, that shirt's hilarious. I need to get one of those. That's kind of our goal. And we want to put it on, the most comfortable shirt that we can possibly afford to be able to give to the consumer. So we want to be top of mind. We want those designs to pop. And every Thursday we're dropping a fresh one. And what's super cool about that is when you buy that shirt, you actually get free shipping. And what is also really cool is that we have flat rate shipping. So whether you buy one shirt or 5 Dynasty Warzone hoodies, it is all the same price for shipping, which is super cool. It's $10. It's UPS. It's not like Canadian Postal Service or US Postal Service. It's UPS. And it's super good stuff. So yeah, we've got over 50, 60 designs on hoodies, t-shirts, baseball shirts. Go and check them out. There's always fresh stuff happening. We're always dropping it on Instagram and Twitter. And, we're literally dropping new designs every single day. So stay tuned. Make sure that you're always kind of tuned into what we're doing, because, something happens in a game, we're on it. We're designing stuff. And, in a day or the same day, we'll have a design that will make your eyes pop.
So what the man's saying is you got to make sure that you're following ViridianGlobal.com on Twitter so you don't miss anything. And then, Maddie, not only are you our graphics designer, but you are for hire. We know a lot of MFL leagues are, you're 5-6 weeks in at this point, and not a lot going on. But we all know the rollover for MFL happens. sometime around March 1. I've seen it as early as Valentine's Day, and I've seen it as late as St. Patrick's Day. You get your own calendar and figure out when those days are. But when that happens and you want to get a custom skin or a custom graphic for your new league year, how can these guys get a hold of you? And I know you've got some pinned tweets and some stuff with some samples of your good work.
Yeah, so I've been working on MFL now for about 6 months and learning HTML. Jerry, you're in one of the part of the leagues with me, and you're my test subject in that league, so you've been part of it. How easy is it to use on mobile, my website?
Let me tell you something. So I don't ever use apps for anything. I always bookmark every league I'm in. For the most part, I don't want to poop on MFL too much, but for the most part, I don't love it. Like, it is not my favorite. I feel like it's not intuitive for the most part, but that Devi 1 League, Matty boy, not only does it look good, is it efficient, but every single time I get to pull up my team, Matty put a little sound clip in there from when Michigan fumbled the punt and Michigan State beat them, and that just makes my nipples hard. So I'm just appreciative just based on that alone. So yes, it's good. And if you're someone like me that is dumb, I think is the word I'm looking for, dumb, and is not great with MFL, Matty boy's your boy.
Yeah.
So Matt, where can they find you on Twitter so we can get you hooked up with some people coming your way, and then we're going to jump into some quarterbacks.
Yeah, please find me on Twitter. DM me your work at Matty Big Chest on Twitter. I'd love to give you guys a discounted rate, but it's going to be first come, first serve for leagues. So if you're looking for an upgrade in the middle of the season, I've got time on my hands to do it now. Beat the rush. It's a lower rate during the season than it is during the off season, so come get your league now.
Spruce up your boring leagues, all those leagues with just plain blue and white MFL backgrounds. They are so boring. We tolerate it unless you want it done now. Come find Matty at Matty Big Chest on Twitter, and we'll get you hooked up. All right, let's jump into some quarterback news, the great Dynasty Quarterback Conundrum. This segment is brought to you by our Patreon, patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. And in honor of this Thursday's lack of Thursday night football, what we're going to do, me and maybe some of these guys, we're going to jump on a Zoom call of some sort, and we're going to do our first ever Patreon parking lot party. So what we're going to do with the Patreon parking lot party is we're just going to, stream live. Going to answer Dynasty questions. Going to talk fantasy football. We're going to talk player values. We're going to talk life. We're going to talk family. We're going to talk whatever the hell we want to for about 90 minutes. I told everybody on the Patreon podcast already for this week that, bring me what you're reading. What are you into? Give me some stuff not football related, man. We love it. We had our most recent Patreon, Carl, jump in. He said the fact that his league chats are very dry and there is no conversation going on, and that's what he's looking for out of Dynasty Fantasy Football. So we are more than happy to keep him busy. I think I had 125 messages tonight while I was at the Little League game. You guys were keeping my soul warm, if not my body. So you want to check it out, patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone, and we'll look forward to seeing you. So the first thing we're going to talk about tonight is young quarterbacks. And I define a young quarterback as guy from the 2018, 2019, and 2020 classes. If you're in that Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, you're a grizzled veteran at this point. So I'm going to start with Matty. Matty, who is a young quarterback that you must have on your Dynasty rosters?
I mean, if you're starting with me, I'm going to have to go Kyler Murray. He Euro-stepped a guy in the NFL. You don't see that every day, and this guy's a generational talent as a rusher. I'm getting a lot of backfeed.
Nope, you're good. You should be good now.
Okay. I really like Kyler Murray. He's shown it as a runner. He's shown it as a passer. He can hit the guys outside of the hash marks on the deep balls. I am a big fan of what Kyler Murray does. Are you getting that too, Jerry?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I think it's Kyler Murray for me as the top buy from the class, but he's expensive. So you're got to pay a premium to get him. So if you're looking for someone who's going to get you a lot of points, it's got to be Kyler Murray for me. So he's going to be good for the next 10 years as long as he stays healthy.
We here. Randy, I can't hear you, buddy. I'm sure he's cursing whatever he's got going on. Can you guys hear me?
How does this sound now?
Okay, there you go.
Am I back?
Can hear you. Yes, you are.
I hate StreamYard. I've got to figure out how to use it.
Look at that. For a second, I was in the top 3 of this podcast, but we're back to the bottom 4. It's fine.
Yeah, right where you belong. All right, so I'm going to throw this back to Jerry, and then we'll go. So, Jerry, what do you think about Kyler?
Whoa. You're just going right into Maddie? I know. The YouTube's fucked. The YouTube's having a fuck time right now.
This is all for free on the YouTube. We're not charging 1 penny extra for this content on YouTube.
So we're going after what Maddie said?
Yeah, so we're going to pretend like all that other microphone issues and stuff like it never even existed, at least in the podcast world. So I'm going to go, all right, so Jerry, Maddie is on Kyler. Are you a Kyler guy? What do you think about Kyler Murray?
Well, I am going to be honest with you. In the show sheet, I happened to write a certain name, and it happened to be Kyler Murray also. I don't really care that he's throwing interceptions because the dude's rushing for touchdowns. And if there's one thing that gets me fantasy points, it's when quarterbacks rush for touchdowns. It's what made Lamar Jackson last year. It's what's making Kyler Murray this year. I understand there are flaws in his game, and I understand for the most part he sort of disappeared for a little bit of that last game, and then all of a sudden DeAndre Hopkins decided he was just going to be the man that we all know he is. So yeah, I'm all in on that. That was my guy too. I mean, what can you say about Kyler that is just he's got Hopkins who can bail him out when he needs it, and he can run for 2 touchdowns a game or 70 yards and a touchdown or whatever else you need. The floor for the man is just, it's silly, and he's young. And even if that team doesn't get all that much better, I don't care. I just want Kyler Murray points, and if there's one thing that dude gets, it's fantasy points.
Will, are you a Kyler guy, and who is your quarterback, the young guy that you absolutely have to have?
You're muted.
Will, who was the guy that you absolutely have to have?
Yeah, first off, I've got to say I was all in on Kyler in his draft year. Kind of put all my chips in on him, and he's returning great value already, right? Like he was going too late in dynasty drafts, and now Maddie mentioned this before, is that his price to acquire is through the roof now. There's no chance. Even in some leagues where I've lucked out on some good quarterback luck, it might be something that you might look to sell Kyler. But for all the reasons that Jerry and Maddie like him, I love him too. The other thing that I absolutely love about Kyler, about that Arizona situation, is that this is clearly a team that's building around Kyler. They brought in D-Hop for a reason. Christian Kirk just wasn't getting it done. I think when they figure out this running back situations and start giving Edmonds more and more meaningful touches, and the Drake experiment kind of fizzles out, this will just see Kyler's stock continue to rise. And then next season, who knows what they do? Maybe they go out and Arizona finally gets a tight end that can catch the ball and maybe do some blocking. Who knows what the upper echelon of Kyler Murray is. I don't think that we've fully seen it yet, but his cost to acquire is super expensive. A guy that, however, that I think that his value by the end of this season is going to be quite low, just because of the team that he plays on, and I don't think it's anything to do with his talent, is Joey Burrow, man, the Tiger King. I think that he's really showing out so far in the games that I've been able to watch. And I mean, you think about it and you're looking at his metrics, you're looking that he's top 5 in air yards, and that offense is hucking the ball a lot. I go back to that game against Cleveland, I'm like, what would his numbers look like if AJ Green caught the ball that game? We would be having a bit of a different conversation about Joe Burrow right now. I think that the hype is rightfully so for Herbert. I love what he's doing, but Joe Burrow could be a guy at the end of the season that people are just like, well, you know what? I don't know about this guy. You might be able to go out and acquire him. So the cost to acquire Joe Burrow might be more attainable than, let's say, another guy who I really like, and I'm sure that somebody's going to talk about, is Herbert. So I'm all in on the Tiger King. You can also get those shirts on Viridian Global as well. We got some pretty cool ones for Joe Burrow too.
This man is a professional. Did you hear that pitch right there?
For all you wannabe podcasters and broadcasters, that was a very professional little segue to the Joe Burrow. Now here's one. I'm gonna give you a free off the cuff potential shirt design for my guy. My guy is Justin Herbert. You can make him look like Bodie from the American cult classic Pulp Fiction. You can make him look like Bodie. You got to find someone to be Johnny Utah. Maybe that can be Joe Burrow. They can go back and they can be Bodie and Johnny Utah. But my guy's Justin Herbert. I mean, this guy's played 4 games as a pro. He's played some pretty good teams. He's got a 69% completion rating. He's averaging 300 yards a game and just over 2 TDs a game. He's got 9 in his first 4 games. And, 3 of those 4 teams that he's played are projected as playoff teams. That's Kansas City, that's the Bucs, and the Saints. And I have so much more faith in Tom Telesco, the GM there in Los Angeles with the Chargers, than I ever will have with Joe Burrow and the 85-year-old. You guys know how I feel about Zach Taylor. And the 85-year-old GM, owner. I mean, everybody who gives Jerry Jones a bunch of shit, Jerry has nothing on Mike Brown. Mike Brown's 85. He's been killing careers like Carson Palmer and Chad Johnson and so many others, Rudy Johnson, for years. And that's why I would much rather have Justin Herbert. I think it'll be even better after they fire head coach Anthony Lynn. My buddy Matty jumped in there and said he's the only head coach that's pushing Zach Taylor of the Bengals for the worst head coach in football. And let's just look at some of the other intangibles. They're small, but it matters because points matter. He plays in a new spaceship dome type thing there in LA. He shares that field with the Rams. And he's in a division built for offense. The Raiders' offense has looked so much better with Henry Ruggs, with Josh Jacobs. We've not gotten full exposure to Bryan Edwards yet, Darren Waller. So there's a good offense. I mean, KC's KC, and we have yet to see Denver's offense all together with all the pieces, including a healthy Drew Lock. And that matters because a guy like Joe Burrow, who we'd be comparing Herbert against, he's got to play Pittsburgh twice a year and Baltimore twice a year. That's 25%. 4 of his games come against some horrifically tough matchups each and every year in that very black and blue division. Herbert's already the QB 16 in spite of only playing 4 games, but he's 8th in points per game on the season. He only trails Josh Allen, Russell Wilson, Dak, Mahomes, Rodgers, Kyler, and Cam. Buy high and don't look back. You might think, man, I'm paying a salty price. Pay a salty price. Move on to a guy that I'm really high on in Justin Herbert. And I will throw this one back to Will because Will is one of our guests. And Will, I know you like Herbert, and then you can go into the young guy that you have to sell.
Yeah, I mean, my name is It's Harris Time on Twitter, but it is totally Herbert time, and I'm completely bought in with it. I mean, I think that there are some question marks for a lot of us coming out of Oregon, but he has showed out, and even before his quote-unquote breakout game, I love how people talk about breakout games when 2 or 3 of them have already happened. I'm sure that you guys can relate to it. He's already thrown 3 games of over 300 passing yards. I mean, that's absolutely incredible for a rookie QB. I can't take credit for this next one, but is there a better 0-4 rookie quarterback ever?
It would be tough to find.
So I am absolutely in on Herbie, a guy that I would be looking to sell. That's young. I think I already talked about a little bit of it. It's not indicative of the talent. It's just the heights that he's playing at right now is Kyler Murray. I think that it's depending on your situation, because if you drafted him in Dynasty, you probably actually got pretty good value for him. What's his ceiling? Have we fully seen it yet? I don't think so. But I think that you can get a good return there. And imagine if you're in a situation where you drafted Kyler Murray right, and now you've also drafted Herbert right, you're going to be in a pretty good situation. And whose value is perceived higher? I think it's going to be Kyler. So Kyler is just a sell high for me, just because of that perceived value. It's nothing of the talent. I love the kid, but he would be a guy that if I could get some good value out of, and if somebody, especially, I know that we're probably all super flex people here, but in single QB where people go nuts for quarterbacks, I would absolutely look to get not rid of Kyler Murray, because that's a very harsh way to say it, but I would look to sell and maximize high, especially in single quarterback leagues, if somebody wants to pay up for Kyler Murray.
Listen, right, last week we were talking. Hold on, sorry. We were talking about
just throw it to Maddie when you're done.
Okay, we were talking about selling some major quarterbacks last week, so I'm in. I hear what you're saying. It's because you can just gain so much unbelievable value by someone that's gaining the hotness. But Matt, for the love that all that is good, stop me from ranting, and let me know who is the guy you hate, and why can I hate you for it?
Yeah, it's going to be Josh Allen. You can sell high on him now. I think that his arm is fantastic, but his value is way outside of what I think it is. He's a QB3, I believe, right now. So, in dynasty purposes and startup purposes, so I'd be selling him now for someone like Russell Wilson, who's going to play another 5 to 10 years in a piece, because you're getting name brand for someone like maybe a Stafford even, and an even better piece, because he can help your team more, I think, than just. I mean, Josh Allen's got the rushing touchdowns, but how long is he going to keep those rushing touchdowns up?
Jerry, I'm shooketh, so I'm going to let you talk to Maddie about Josh Allen, and then I'll let you talk about your guy. Then I'll go last.
I'm not the biggest Josh Allen guy. The dude has been out of his freaking mind this season. But if I was a gambling man, I don't know how much I would bet on it going forward. Now, he's far exceeded everything I ever thought he was going to be. I don't know if I'm selling him yet, just because the hotness is still happening, and I might want to reap those rewards and just take home the ship and then maybe ship him off. But if I was going to pick a dude, and it's an easy one, and I'm just going to say his name, and then I'm going to let Randy talk about him, because while I don't know who he picked, I could take a pretty good guess at who he picked. And I'm going to say Baker Mayfield, because, well, he's Baker Mayfield. Randy, if you didn't pick Baker, let me know now, and I'll continue talking about why it's him. But I think I know you better than that.
Well, why would I tell you to sell someone who's worth nothing? Oh, see what I did there? That is mostly a joke. I don't dislike Baker the player as much as I dislike Baker's perceived value in the dynasty world. For all of the people that were trying to shove Baker down your throat 18 months ago as the QB2 overall in dynasty, that was my issue with Baker. One of my quote-unquote hot takes of the year going into the season was that Baker would be the worst statistical quarterback in the AFC North, which he is, but he would lead the Browns to the playoffs, which as of if the season ended today, he would. So I think he's a system quarterback that found his system, to be quite honest, and I really like, as bad as Freddie Kitchens was, Baker Mayfield, Kevin Stefanski is the exact opposite. He's that good as a first-year head coach. But my actual sell's Tua, because here's the thing: I'm not only playing the game of Dynasty Fantasy Football, I'm playing the other GMs in the league. And what I mean by that is that if Tua does not come in and start dropping hammers the way that Burrow did and the way that Justin Herbert did, then he's going to be automatically written off as a bust. People are going to tell you how much he sucks, and you're going to lose equity instantly. If I could move if I could move Tua for what I perceive to be a top 5 pick, knowing that I would get one of the top 3 running backs, or Fields or Lawrence with a top 5 rookie pick, he's gone. I'm more than happy to cash out at that valuation and see what that pick can get me in my rookie drafts. Again, he could come in and light it up. I think we all liked Tua, but there's still the injury history. He had a tightrope, high ankle sprain type surgery on each leg. He had the major hip injury. We've not seen him play competitive football since that. And with all that being said, forget every bit of that. I'm playing the perception game. Again, if he doesn't come out, and he plays in a division, I mentioned Burrow, where he has to play Pittsburgh and Baltimore twice. Tua's got to play Buffalo twice, and he's got to play New England twice a year. Those aren't easy games, guys. Those are not easy games and guaranteed And we don't know if he's going to come out there and have a DGAF attitude like Fitzmagic, because Fitzmagic's 36 years old, got a sweet beard, plenty of money in the bank, and he doesn't care. He'll go to a 9th team. But that's what makes me concerned about Tua. So if I can about break even on Tua, I'm done. I'm going to talk about maybe a veteran I can get for him. So does anybody have anything for Tua before I jump into our third and final segment?
Nothing crazy. You would sell him. Are you trying to sell him now before he plays?
Yes, I absolutely do. I don't think his value could go up any higher with a couple of good games, but I think his value could plummet. Not plummet, but it could really be impacted by a couple of bad games. And maybe it's not even his fault, because I don't think your fellow GMs in your dynasty leagues are going to look at the fact that maybe it was against Buffalo, was his debut, or it was against New England as his debut. No one's going to care. They're going to see Tua come in and struggle. They're going to say, well, Justin Herbert didn't struggle. He came in with 5 minutes notice, and he came in here and he pooped the bed. And then he went on and he played Tom Brady, and he put up 31 points. And I can just hear negative narrative street all over this guy. And it's a headache that I was already concerned about. Go back and listen to the show in May, Jerry, when we had guys like Nick Whalen on, and Kane and Shane, and we were talking about these guys. What was my number one concern with Tua? It was the injury history. Now I've got to fade the injury history. I've got to fade the fact that I haven't seen him play competitive football in almost a year. And he's got to compete against guys that he shouldn't have to be competing against because the situations are different. It's just more cons than pros. So if I can break even and get about what I paid for him back, I'll be happy to repeat the process in May. Does that make sense as to why? I would kind of like what Will said with wanting to sell Kyler Murray. It's not an indictment against Kyler. It's just the perception, because that's one of the biggest things that I think is missed in Dynasty, is you're not necessarily playing your league mates and what their mindset's going to be on a player as much as it is the player himself. So that's where I was at with Tua, Jerry.
I'm cool with that. And the thing about those draft picks that you're going to get, if you do get a top 5, narrative ain't going to change. Just the value is going to increase.
Those are the only things guaranteed to attain value. We could see ways that Tua's price could easily go down, but those picks are going to only hold and build more value. All right, so we talked about the young guys. We've got some old guys like myself, the old guys. We've got to talk about some older dudes. But before we do, our final segment is going to be brought to you by Hate Brand Goods. You know what pairs well with all this sweet merch from our friends over at Viridian Global? A pair of Hate Brand joggers. I'm actually wearing them right now. I came home, took off my work pants, slid on a pair of nice comfy joggers, and I am chilling. You guys know what a fan of the GOAT shorts I am. They actually have a new GOAT style. It looks like a topographical map. It's going to drop live on Thursday, just in time to go with your new Viridian Global tees that drop on Thursday. These shorts and they sell out. They did a restock on ones. I sent the email to Dr. Kyle from the Big Bet podcast, and they sold out because he dicked around for a few hours and missed out. So this is great stuff, high quality merch. Head over to thehate.com, that's thehvii.com, and use promo code Memphis at checkout, and you will save money. And so there you go, our friends over at Hate Brand Goods. All right, question number 4. Which old? And old is relative. If you're talking about Phillip Rivers, that's really flippin' old. But if you're talking about young dudes, we're going to talk about from anyone drafted 2017 and before 2017. So I will start with Jerry. Jerry, who is your quote-unquote old guy that you must have, you're looking to acquire right now?
This guy is not old in any means. I cheated a little bit and went borderline on your time frame, and I went with the 2017 drafted quarterback, number 1 overall, Mr. Jared Goff of the Los Angeles Rams. He's a dude I always take. He's a dude that Randy takes. He's a dude that G of the Aussie guys thinks I'm a dipshit for taking him in the first round of a dynasty. Well, that team is looking good, G. If you were out there, check the standings, partner. What do you want me to tell you? I mean, the dude is in a great situation. He's got great wide receivers. He's got an ungodly amount of running backs. Even Cam Akers decided to show up this week. And he's efficient. He's good. He throws for a ton of yards. The foundation of the man's fantasy points are there. I mean, he's thrown for over 250 yards in 4 out of the 5 games that we've played so far this season. He's got Woods, he's got Kupp, he's got Higbee sometimes. I just like the man, and I think he's set up to succeed for a long time. He's going to have a stable situation, which is something that, that's like a unicorn in the dynasty world. It's like we're changing things every 3 weeks because that's how quick this thing can happen. Look at Le'Veon Bell. He got cut today. Shit happened in this game.
Man,
listen, that situation's going to be better. Don't you rain on my man Le'Veon's parade.
We will save that for a future episode once we know where Mr. Le'Veon Bell is going to be plying his trade. You know what a fan of Jared Goff I am. And one thing that we don't do enough in Dynasty, like I'm trying to get ahead of the whole Tua situation. You know, like Jared Goff, we were having this conversation about Goff last year. He's not my buy. But if you want to know who next year's Jared Goff is, it's Carson Wentz. Everyone hates him. He's struggling this year like Goff struggled last year. If you want tomorrow's newspaper today, go out and get some Carson Wentz. Will, what do you think about, and first of all, Jerry, he was in the 2016 class along with Carson Wentz. But Will, what do you think about Mr. Goff, and then who is the quote-unquote veteran you have to buy?
Yeah, in terms of Goff, I like that he's in an up-tempo, pass-first type of offense. He doesn't have not that we need to have sexiness by any means, but not having that rushing upside that we talked about earlier about Kyler, about the Lamars of the world, that to me isn't someone that I like to personally build around. But again, hey, Memphis, you did a great job going all Sun Tzu on us and made me kind of look at that situation a bit differently. And Jared Goff is a guy that his perceived value is so low, but his actual fantasy value is incredibly high, right? He doesn't get the respect because of guys like me that don't think he's sexy, and because he doesn't have that rushing upside of the Konami code quarterback. So, you guys are getting into my head. You're getting into making me a better dynasty player. So in terms of being able to acquire Goff, again, it might not be a super sexy pickup or a draft pick, but he puts up points, he's consistent, and he's in a system offense that caters to his strengths. So if Goff is acquirable, let's do it.
I'm just happy that he mentioned not only the Konami code but also Sun Tzu. So that's a man after my heart right now. So who's your guy, Will? Let me hear this.
Yeah, it's again. I talked about your boy not being sexy. My guy isn't sexy. He does have a T-shirt though. And he's playing tonight. I know it's too easy, but it's Ryan Tannehill. We haven't talked a lot about him this season because he hasn't played very many games, guys. He had the Steelers game canceled and postponed, and then this game tonight was up in question against the Bills. But since coming back from that pretty bad knee injury in Miami, and also we talked about escaping Gase like Bell just did. Tannehill also got to escape Gase, the quarterback whisperer in South Beach. All Tannehill needed was to go to the Titans, and this offense is built around his strengths, right? He's a RPO kind of guy, and we see him. He was the best in completion percentage last year on those plays, and he's also a guy that has sneaky rushing upside, right? Every single game. You look at points that he put up, and on the year, it's a little bit skewed, but he's a top 10 quarterback. He didn't play the full season last year, and we haven't really seen Ryan Tannehill in his full glory yet this season because just of the COVID situation in Tennessee. But he's a guy that, again, it might not be sexy. He does have a little bit of the Konami code, though, right? He does have that sneaky rushing upside, and in an offense that plays to his strengths. What would it cost for you to acquire Ryan Tannehill in a league that you're in contention with, and Superflex as your second option? I bet you can go out and not pay a heck of a lot for him, and it's not like this guy is old either. He's still got probably 4 or 5 good years left in him, and you look at the weapons that he has around him in Tennessee. You've got Derrick Henry, who we know is locked in, and he's going to be there for a while. And then we are just beginning to see A.J. Brown, and then we've got a tight end in Jonnu Smith that obviously has a rapport with Tannehill. We saw it again tonight with that touchdown. You give Jonnu the ball, he's got 2 tutters. Wow. you give Jonnu the ball and good things happen. So I love Tannehill as a guy to go out and acquire. He's not super old and he's not going to be super expensive. So shoot the thrill with Tannehill.
I'm a big Tannehill guy. I had him in every startup that I was in 2019.
Yes.
I flipped a bunch of him. I wish I'd actually kept a couple of shares. I had a couple of leagues where he was my QB4 because I just picked him up so late last year. I just had so much faith in him as a pro. And I'm gonna give a hypothetical trade before I throw it to Maddie and hear about his veteran that he's looking to acquire. But let's take my man Tua and a second and go get Ryan Tannehill in a first. I think that's going to be possible, especially if Tannehill's languishing on the back end of a roster of a team that's maybe struggling. Maybe they're in the middle of a rebuild mode and they don't want a 31, 32-year-old quarterback. They want the 21, 22-year-old quarterback. It's going to cost them a little bit of a pick flip range, but you know what? That's an offer worth making. Maddie, what do you think about my hypotheticals here? And then who is the old man that you're looking to buy?
I like the hypothetical trade of Tua in a second for Tannehill in a first because you're adding value. I think Tua, he's a question mark. I like that. And then Tannehill was my guy, man. You stole him, Will. He's
I'm
awesome.
Sorry, bro.
I've tried to acquire him everywhere, and he's virtually impossible to trade for because I think everybody loves him at this point. But my guy is Aaron Rodgers. This man is written off because he's old, but he's going to be playing another 4 to 5 years in the NFL, maybe 6, who knows. He's got a live arm still. He's throwing for, 400 yards a game, and he's playing in a weak NFC North that has the pencil boy in it. And the pencil boy loves to run man coverage, and Aaron Rodgers destroys man coverage. So there's 2 games a year that he's going to have over 400 yards and some touchdowns in. So it's got to be Aaron Rodgers for me. He was written off. He was like a 6th-round startup pick at the start of 2020, and that is outrageous value that you got if you drafted him. And I sold him pretty highly and this last week, actually. So I think it has to be Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, I like Aaron Rodgers. My only knock on Aaron Rodgers is really from an effort standpoint. This feels like something he could have been doing for the last couple of years. You know, my only concern with Aaron Rodgers is what happens if he gets bored and decides not to try again. Because he clearly, the one that I continually hear people talk about with Aaron Rodgers is the white T-shirt commercial from State Farm, where he looks to be in amazing shape. It's like, really, Aaron, where was this guy 5 years ago before I traded you off all of my rosters? Well, my guy is also a young, old guy. It's Deshaun Watson. This is the guy who was the QB6 in 2018. He was the QB3 overall last year, and currently he's back up to the QB9 this year. People are so sour on his former head coach and former GM, Bill O'Brien, and the loss of DeAndre Hopkins that has really impacted his value, and I'm here for it. I am absolutely here for it. I know the new GM is going to have a lot to work to do there. They don't have a whole lot of draft capital. But I'll take the discount on a guy that's a top 3 to top 5 QB in a startup. I know they've got some cap casualty issues. The NFL trade deadline's 3 weeks away, and there's talks of moving veterans like J.J. Watt. Would be almost criminal, as beloved as he is in Houston. But I think there's going to be a lot of things that impact this team. I know they don't have a first or a second. That's okay. They didn't get Aaron Rodgers, a wide receiver, with their first or second round pick in Green Bay, but he seems to be doing just fine. I don't necessarily think that either Will Fuller or Brandon Cooks is a wide receiver 1, but they can put up wide receiver 1 points on a weekly basis in your roster. You know, add in Randall Cobb's playing serviceable. The ageless one, Darren Fells, seems to be doing okay. And they can get out from under some crazy contracts like David Johnson, like Brandon Cooks if they want to next year. So they'll be able to surround him with talent. But we just saw the big Deshaun Watson game. He did have a couple of turnovers, but 350 yards, and I think it was just the tip of the iceberg. So if you're a Deshaun Watson guy like me, go get yourself some Deshaun Watson. I'm going to throw this one to Jerry. Jerry, what do you think about Watson? And then who's the 2017 and older guy that you're looking to offload on your rosters?
I'm with you on Watson, but I think everybody should be for the most part. I think you're just overreacting to the Bill O'Brien curse if you're ready to get and count that guy out. Mine is a guy that I have never really loved, and I thought I was wrong last year because he was very successful, and he is back to just Mitchell Trubiskying that bad boy up, and that is the ever eternally handsome Jimmy Garoppolo of the San Francisco 49ers. Bro, that is the least... we talked about not sexy guys in the last segment. There is not a person that, as far as the fantasy value is concerned, is less sexy than Jimmy Garoppolo. Dude. Like, I just need to see you do something. My man, he did okay, and then he got hurt. He came back against Miami. 77 yards. 2 interceptions. Ew, that's embarrassing. I don't want to deal with this man anymore. He's already 30 years old. We've really only seen him start one season. No, thank you. I'm good. And the worst part is the league that I mentioned earlier about Maddie that he did all his work on for the Patreon league, the Patreon Devi League. Jerry's got Jimmy Garoppolo starting in that league, so as you could imagine, it's starting off great. We're having fun. It's an enjoyable league that I'm just having a beautiful time. I'm done with Jimmy Garoppolo. If anyone is listening in that league, please come take that man. Except for Matt. Matt sends bad trades. I'm just busting his balls. He actually... If you ever want anyone to send you 13 trades a day, Matt is your guy, because he is the most active player on this platform in the history of this game. But Jimmy Garoppolo is a bum, and I'm good on him. No thank you. He doesn't have the rushing upside that Harris talked about earlier. It just, I don't like him. I don't even want to keep talking about him. I feel like I'm vomiting out my mouth just by mentioning Jimmy Garoppolo's name. If anyone disagrees, I would love to hear it, because I think you are so wrong.
Jerry, though, I mean, we can talk about what he does on the field, but let's talk about what he does off the field, because he's...
Okay, well, listen. But if we're going to talk about anybody like that, it's going to be Ryan Tannehill, because that dude slays.
Tony Romo.
hey, all right. We're doing all right there.
Listen, all these guys are doing
points,
okay.
Man.
Everybody's doing it. If you're a professional quarterback, even a clipboard holder, and you're not doing okay, I need to talk to you. All right, speaking of doing okay, Maddie, what do you think about Jimmy G, and then who's the old-timer you're getting off of your rosters?
Jimmy GQ, he's interesting. He was my guy that I was going to choose. So thank you, Jerry. I had to pivot.
Awesome.
But it's awesome having to pivot mid-show. So I'm going to have to go with my guy, Matthew Stafford. He's having a little bit of a Memphis is taken back there, because I have a DeAndre Swift signed jersey right behind me. He looks like he's overthrowing his guys this year. He missed Hawkinson on an easy fade route that he always hits, and it's just, what's wrong with Stafford? I don't know. It's what's going to happen to his back. I don't know. He's kind of volatile, So he's a guy that I would be looking to sell for a first, and then moving that first and getting someone like Trey Lance or Justin Fields if it's an earlier first. I mean, you're not getting Trevor because it's probably not the 101 you're trading for, but I mean, if you can get someone like Trey Lance to develop as your quarterback 3, if Stafford's your quarterback 2 or 3 right now, that would be a move that I would make. But if he's your quarterback 1 or 2, I would not be selling him. So, if that makes sense.
No, I was stunned as I have 2. First of all, Will, are the Lions your favorite team?
No, Steelers.
Okay,
Good for
perfect.
you. That is a smart move on your part.
Yeah.
So of 2 of the 4 of us love the color of Honolulu blue. I was not expecting Maddie to say Matthew Stafford, and I wasn't expecting Jerry to back him up. Now, what about you, Will? Are you a Stafford guy, and then who's the old dude you're looking to move down the line on your teams?
Yeah, you know what? I feel for Maddie Stafford, that is, and Maddie over here too, because I know that he likes the Lions. But yeah, Stafford is tough, man. I think the guy can sling the ball. I don't know how much of it is, he hasn't had Galladay there fully. Have they been using Hawkinson properly? I think that there's just a whole host of issues that, in Detroit that I don't really want to touch. And if Stafford goes off for a game and I can move him, then let's do it. Jimmy GQ as well. I mean, I was looking at him in some rosters today, and I'm like, as soon as he like tosses the ball like 5 yards down the field to like Debo or Kittle or Ayuk, because like this is who they built the team to be able to get these yak guys going, right? Because Garoppolo can't throw the ball, he can't rush the ball, he just can't do it. As soon as Garoppolo and his crew of yak machines go off, he is gone to a quarterback desperate team. Like I'm done with Jimmy GQ. And then the other guy that I would be looking to sell, and this is completely situational, because as a starting QB, your GM isn't going to draft a rookie first-round quarterback every year to send a message to their star QB. And I'm talking about the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is playing out of his mind. My thinking is that they will probably make a run to the Super Bowl this year. They look like that kind of team. Everything is lining up. We haven't seen Devontae Adams outside of that monster first game be healthy yet. And, you know, him coming off bye week and hopefully healthy. Aaron Jones is playing Aaron Jones kind of football. And Aaron Rodgers, to, you know, where was this 5 years ago? Where was this 4 years ago? Well, his GM had to go out and draft a rookie quarterback to send a message. And it's working. But from a dynasty perspective, if he goes and wins a championship this year, do you think that motivation will be there next year after he's proven everybody wrong? I don't think so. So I'm just looking to offload Rodgers where I can, because I don't think his value is ever going to be higher.
Man, I could have easily went Rodgers on this as well. I was moving him last year. He is on – Tom Brady did this a couple of years ago. He went on the Tom Brady FU tour, where they suspended him for 4 games, and he came back and looked to light everyone up on fire, and he did. But I'm with you. I had not thought about that, and that's why I love having guys like Will on. Again, not only does he make sweet T-shirts over at ViridianGlobal.com, he's got some damn good dynasty takes as well, and I agree. And my guy is a guy who, on paper, doesn't look like he's having that bad of a season, but he's someone that I'm actually pretty concerned about, and that is my man Matt Ryan. Now, those of you that listen to the podcast regularly, you know what a fan of unsexy quarterbacks I am. I have been for a long time. I was drafting guys like Josh Allen and Daniel Jones long before it was cool to do so, and I'm going to continue to advocate. I just think that Matt Ryan is 35 years old, and he looks every hour of it on the field. I could argue right now that these last 2 games against the Packers and the Panthers, he has looked worse on the field than Big Ben coming back from a shoulder ligament surgery, or elbow surgery. But Matt Ryan just does not look to have any zip on the ball. But he's a guy, man, he's filling up the stat sheet. If you pull up all of his metrics, including his QBR and his quarterback rating, he is a guy who is, outside of his touchdowns and touchdown per attempt metrics right now, he's really not doing too bad. He's playing the 27th versus the pass Vikings this week, so he might be able to get off of the schneid and have a decent game in a dome in Minnesota without a rowdy crowd. And then maybe you can go to the Dak owner who just lost Dak. Maybe he's 4-1, or she's, 3-2 or whatever, and looking for a QB. And I would be looking to move him. You're going to have a real tough time getting a guy like Justin Herbert, or a guy like like Tua. Maybe you like Tua. Maybe you're not like me. Maybe you like Tua. Maybe you just want to gamble. Hey, we don't know when Tua's going to play or what Tua's going to do. You're obviously trying to compete. You're a GM that's 4-1 or 3-2. Here, take Matt Ryan. He's already had games this year of 26 and 33 points. Yeah, he had a tough game against the Bears. Hey, who doesn't? Hey, he had a tough game at Green Bay on Monday night. Who amongst us hasn't? Wait until he lights up the Vikings this weekend, and he's going to give you the quintessential opportunity to move him. But there you go. We went around the horn a little bit. We gave you some players that we're looking to acquire, some young guys, some old guys, and then guys we're looking to move off of. Maybe you agree with some of us on some, and you disagree with some of us on others, but we're going to do this again. We'll do this again with running backs. We'll do this with wide receivers, and it's been great to have guests, man. It's been a long time, Jerry. It's been, 6-7 weeks since we've had some guests, and tonight we had a couple of studs.
Yeah.
And you.
He's a bully, man. This is what I got to deal with all the time. No, it is good. It's good. I've known Matt for a long time. He's a good teammate to have if you're playing video games, because the man can shoot like a son of a bitch. So if you're into battle royales or whatever else you got, make sure you add Matty. He also does good work on all the graphic stuff. You got Will just kicking ass, taking names. I'm in this hoodie. I'm living in this hoodie. It's good.
You look
man.
great, bro. You look great.
Thank you. The first person that's ever said that, and I'm married. It's good. I love all the stuff. I bought the DHH stuff. I bought the GOAT stuff. I got our own Warzone stuff. Maddie's looking good in his NWO inspired DWZ shirt. You guys do good stuff. No, you don't.
It's cold. It's cold. It's cold. It's cold in the basement. My nips could cut glass right now. But we will, on top of DWZ merch, something that we're not ready to announce yet, but we're going to have something Dynasty Warzone related, limited edition for the month of November. You and Maddie are working on some big stuff behind the scenes as it relates to, let's just say there's a certain charitable relationship between the NFL and some other groups that we might be doing something very similar with the Warzone. Limited edition, so when this particular gear comes out, it will be limited edition, but I know there's also phase 2. There's some hats and some other good stuff coming down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of great stuff coming. We're going to be doing something really cool for something that the NFL does as well, and that's near and dear to my heart too. So I'm excited to do that. Working with Maddie, getting designs out that are super kick-ass for everybody out there to wear and rock. And this will be to support a really, really good cause that without them, I don't think that we would be here to be able to do this podcast. So we're going to be doing something around salute to service. I think we can let that out of the bag. It's a really good cause, and yeah, we'll stay tuned for those designs. Maddie and I are going back and forth on some ideas. It's going to be totally kick-ass, just unique to Dynasty Warzone, and we'll be dropping that. Make sure that you're following Dynasty Warzone and Viridian Global, just super easy, at Viridian Global on Instagram and on Twitter, and you'll be able to check out those designs there. And in the meantime, all those fresh designs drop every Thursday, and there's great merch from all of our collective partners and our own stuff that's on there. So make sure that you're checking it out, and really appreciate coming on tonight, guys. We need to do this again. It was awesome jamming with you.
No, man. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you've got a lot going on. You've got some partners working in different time zones right now than what you've got going on. So I know you're working around the clock, as is Matty Biggs. Matty Biggs is a guy who's always banging in the Dynasty Warzone Patreon chat, keeping everybody on their toes, keeping everybody honest. I don't care if it's 6 a.m. or midnight and anywhere in between. Matty's out there stirring the pot. We'll call Matt the ladle, because you stir a pot with a ladle. Matt's our ladle in the group chat. Matty, anything else before we take this one in?
Yeah, turn the YouTube alerts on. I had some buy low candidates and Mike Williams was one of them, and that was about 6 hours before the Chargers game. So if you had watched that 6 hours before the Chargers game and you made that trade offer and you got him, then congrats, because you should probably listen to my buy lows, because I don't listen to myself sometimes. And I wish I would have, because I tried to get Mike Williams after the Chargers game, and it's impossible now. So I'd just like to say, turn the alerts on.
Yeah, there you go. So subscribe to the Dynasty Warzone YouTube channel, alerts, notifications on. And Matt, don't feel bad. They often say you give the advice that you personally need to hear the most. So I'm going to wrap this one up on this note. Check out the Patreon. Check out Hate Brand Goods. Check out Viridian Global. And guys, we got a lot of good stuff coming for you here at the Dynasty Warzone. But on behalf of Jerry, Will, Maddie, and myself, here at the Dynasty Warzone, we are just trying to make the world a better place for fantasy football. We'll see you back here next week. Thanks for tuning in. All right, guys, I'm going to end the live stream.